Greetings, what's up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding, and the Magpie is casting. Coming at you guys today with something a little bit different. I've been playing Homeworld, Deserts of Kharak, which was released just yesterday on the 20th of January. This is a real-time strategy game. It's a prequel to the other Homeworld games, so those of you who have any experience with the Homeworld series will have something of an idea what this is about. Now, unlike the other Homeworld games, this one's based planet-side, so it's not a space game as such, but the feel is largely the same. However, the game is much faster, it feels much tighter, the micro's better, and games can end between 5 minutes and, I would say 25 minutes would be a very long game, although I suppose they could go on for longer. But my point is, it's a lot faster than Homeworld. This is a replay of me playing some PvP. I just decided to hop on the ladder straight after it was out. This is my second or third game on the ladder, I believe. I forgot to record the other two, which was really silly. So anyway, there are two factions in the game, Gaalsiens and the Coalition, and they're actually very different. They're not just kind of like mirror images with a few different parts. I'm here playing as Gaalsien, my opponent is playing as Gaalsien, the map is Torrin Crater, so without further ado, let's hop on in to this game. So this is going to be a first-person live look-in, so this is literally footage of me playing the game. You'll be able to see every click that I make, every order that I give. So, let's get to it. Oh, the mode is artifact retrieval, so it's not just kill your opponent, you have to like steal these artifacts off the map. So, that's my carrier. You start off with 4 salvagers, these are your resource gatherers. And that's my support carrier, the little thing, a support cruiser I believe it's called, a production cruiser actually. So I'm going to send that to another resource patch. That's effectively going to become my second base if you like.
Carrier active.
This is me looking at the research. So initially I put all of my salvagers onto the orange resource. That's called construction units. The blue resource is called resource units. You can think of them roughly analogous to Vespene gas and minerals from StarCraft. So at the moment I'm just harvesting minerals because I need 700 in order to research production cruiser refinery mode. What that does is allow my production cruiser to act as a long-range resource drop-off point, so my resource collectors don't need to go all the way back to my carrier every time. So this is an economic, very greedy build. I'm not researching any offensive units, I'm not building any defenses. All I'm doing is upgrading my economy. I'm even going to be building some more salvagers here. You can see my production cruiser is building a salvager. Okay, and now I'm going to click on that salvager and use it to lay some charges on this rack here, which will blast it open and enable me to start harvesting what's inside it. Just checking on my mothership. It's called a carrier. Lol. So, okay, now I'm going to build a few more resource collectors, which are called salvagers, and get them onto all of the resource patches I have here. So I need another 3 from my production carrier, cruiser, and I need another 2 from my carrier. Now, if you look at the top of the screen, you can see 0 of 5. That's how many artifacts you've managed to retrieve to your extraction zone. If you manage to retrieve all 5, you win the game on the spot. So you can win by bludgeoning your opponent down and destroying their carrier, or you can win by retrieving 5 artifacts. And now the artifacts spawn at 3 points around the map. And you need a specialized unit called a base runner, which is like a very heavy jeep, to grab them and take them out of there with the artifact retrieval team. Now those are reasonably expensive and need looking after. They're like 250 construction units. As I have a sip on my tea. I think I might just refer to the orange units, construction units as orange, and the blue units, the resource units, as blue. Now I'm just upgrading my unit cap. That was the research I just put on there from the mothership. Oh no, I haven't. Sorry, I've done sand skimmer fabrication. Sorry. So I'm aiming to get the ability to build sand skimmers. I'm also building a second production cruiser, which is a little bit greedy. I did warn you. This is a very economic build. And it's my favoured way to play. It's a little risky in the early stages. If my opponent rushes me, I'm in big trouble. But the payoff could be massive because I'll have like 3 mining operations going. So that was my thoughts there. So I'm spending 600 resource units on another production cruiser right now, which will come out of my carrier. Meanwhile, my first production cruiser is manufacturing sand skimmers. Now these are light attack vehicles. They're very fast. They have reasonably potent cannons, but they do die very quickly to gunfire. The way combat works in this game, as you can see, it's a desert setting, and what usually happens in a battle is you'll get your railguns and position them on any high ground, that's along the top of sand dunes and things like that, and they'll command all of the area that they can see, so that's usually up until the next sand dune. And the railgun artillery is pretty accurate and very powerful, and it's very good at knocking off heavy tanks and things like that, but it can't hit or deal with large swarms of these light attack vehicles. So light attack vehicles counter railguns, railguns counter armoured units, and armoured units counter the light attack vehicles, because, you know, it's like, imagine you're in a tank and someone's attacking you with a wall of jeeps, you know, you're probably going to have a fun time blowing them all up. So that's what happens when the light attack vehicles face off against armoured vehicles. So my second production cruiser is just moving on out to that next resource patch. There's another wreck you can see on the right there. This is the sensors manager's view, by the way. The blue areas represent areas that I have sensor coverage of, so I can see, and beyond that is essentially fog of war. Now this is a base runner, which I'm going to use to retrieve one of those artifacts. There are 5 sand skimmers there just escorting it, and more sand skimmers being constructed. I'm now upgrading my unit cap to 65, which you can see in the top right. I'm at 43 out of 45, so dangerously close to that unit cap. Charges being set here to blast open that wreck. And still no real contact with my opponent, which is unusual. So that base runner now has the artifacts. As you can tell, the icon is overwritten. My extraction zone is all the way out there on the left, so I'm going to try and steal this artifact quickly. My opponent hasn't started moving any artifacts yet, which is lucky for me. And this, my third production cruiser, that's going to start building more salvagers now to make use of those resource like deposits that I've exposed with the charges. Now, I've researched sand skimmer raiding, which means that my sand skimmers are now a lot faster. I'm now going to research them weapons level 1. So this is going to make my sand skimmers quite potent. I do quite like sand skimmers. A lot of players are pouring scorn on them and saying that they're not very efficient, but I think actually they can be incredibly efficient if you just hit and run. If you're engaging your opponent with them, you're doing it wrong. If you manage to get in and hit their resource operations or take out their light assault vehicles and their railguns, then they're really powerful. So I value them very highly. Also, of the 2 factions, a little bit of faction background here as I move this artifact towards the extraction site. The Coalition faction has very general purpose over-engineered units that tend to have much more firepower and more armour and be useful in a variety of roles. The Gaalsien faction, this faction that I'm playing, tend to have very fast units, good at one particular thing, and also very good at not committing to a fight. So you can probe in, see if there's a weakness or not, and if your opponent's prepared for you, you can simply fall back with your faster units. Gaalsien units typically have lower health but higher range and higher speed, so you can kite your opponent quite nicely.
Heretic craft detected.
So Heretic craft detected. Here we have some contacts moving in, and it looks like my opponent, who's also playing Gaalsien, has a number of sand skimmers here. So my sand skimmers are going to try to protect me. Now the plus symbols over his units indicate that he has a high ground advantage and is therefore dealing bonus damage. But he's come down off that sand dune now to engage me. So now we're kind of even. Now he's focusing down my base runner, which is a real issue, and if I was microing better, if I was thinking about this more, I would move my units to the right so that they were on the high ground, but didn't quite think of that in time. Now my sand skimmer is desperately trying to defend my base runner, who nearly made it into the radius, but he's going to go down. The artifact gets dropped, and that's a bit of a setback for me. My opponent appears to have more units than I do there, so I'm going to utilise the Gaalsien advantage and fall back here. And I don't believe he has sand skimming speed researched, so I'm going to be able to get out of there. Now I'm building railway guns. I have researched the railguns, so these railguns I'm going to position on high ground and look to pick off my opponent's units in the next fight. I'm also going to have to replace that base runner I lost, and to that end there's a base runner on the queue. I've also researched missile boats, or missile ships they're called. Missile ships are very effective against anti-air, and they're also effective against small strike craft. They also have an indirect barrage, so they're a very multi-purpose ship for the Gaalsien, one of the few that you get. But the main reason I'm buying them is for the anti-air. In this game, any unit used in the right circumstances can feel very overpowered, and if you have no air cover and your opponent comes in with a strategic bomber and a few gunships, everything gets blown up. It's hideous. You know what an AC-130 does with the big broadside cannon? There's something like that in the game. There's also just some strategic missiles and cruise missiles, that kind of stuff, so it does help to have some anti-air defense. In fact, I would say it's essential. So I've got a base runner making a move on that middle victory point, sand skimmers in position ready to back up, second wing of sand skimmers on the right flank, missile ship moving into position to cover, a couple of railguns at the back. Now the range on the railguns is very large, it's almost as far as they can see, and I'm not talking about their sensors range, I'm talking about anything they have line of sight to. So they're pretty powerful if protected, but they must be protected. They represent a considerable investment in terms of orange and blue resource. So here I am deploying my force, ready to protect my base runner again, this time a little bit more determinedly, so that hopefully I can score that artifact.
Combat ready.
Now, I've researched the Honor Guard... No, sorry, I'm researching now the Honor Guard cruiser. Prerequisites for this are railguns. And the Honor Guard cruiser is a larger ship. It has a massive central railgun with vast range and superlative splash damage. It's also quite mobile for a cruiser, but it doesn't have very much health. It can also be researched to have point defense turrets and anti-air missiles. So if you research those upgrades, it's actually a really potent all-round weapons platform for dominating fights. But it doesn't want to be in the fights. It's a support unit. It's like imagine a point 200 meters from your Honor Guard cruiser. Anything there is in for hell, being shot up by turrets, rained with missiles and a massive railgun. Oh, here comes some enemy air units. But if enemy units get around the Honor Guard cruiser and start flanking it, it's bad things. Bad time, sorry. So, a couple of air units here. Now my missile ship is downing them nicely. He's going to break through with a load of sand skimmers here. My railgun's ineffective against the sand skimmers. They need protecting. I need more sand skimmers. So, looks like he's going to focus down my base runner here because it's got the artifact, and that. If he wants to commit to it, he's going to get it. But he's forfeited all these sand skimmers. So in my head, I was kind of thinking, okay, that's kind of a win for me. My railguns also came out of the battle unscathed. Another note about Gaalsien forces: they're very fast. They usually have long range, and they also have very good self-repair systems. So any units that survive a fight will be ready to fight very quickly. So here's a little, I've got a little sub-poke army on the right-hand flank ready to get some work done. And I've also got a second base runner, or a new base runner, making a run there. So, okay, those enemy units there, those are armoured assault vehicles, which will deal with my sand skimmers very quickly. What I need to do is set up my railway guns on top of a sand dune and take the fight with the railguns covering. The railguns can knock off the enemy tanks, like pow, pow. So that's the plan there. So now I'm starting construction on those Honor Guard cruisers, and this is kind of a gambit. Based on my very economical opening, I've been able to access the Honor Guard cruiser very quickly, but the question is, will I have enough force to take out his army, which, let's not forget, was a massive ball of tanks I just saw, and that was probably only part of it, because there were no supporting units with those tanks. Now I've basically only got sand skimmers and a handful of railgun tanks and a couple of missile ships, so this fight could still be close. And I've got a couple of base runners just making artifact runs right now. So what I'm going to do here, I decided what I need is eyes on both sides of this mountain range. So, oh wait, no, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. This is the interesting thing, because I know what happens in this game, obviously, because this was me playing it, but apparently I'm just remembering that slightly incorrect timing. So anyway, yeah, looks like I'm all set up here. Base runner's going to make a run for that artifact. The score's still 0-all. Moving those missile ships in. Okay, here we go. So I split some of my sand skimmers to the left of this mountain range so that I can tell if my opponent's going to come around from there, because it would be really bad if they got the drop on me. And remember, I'm playing as Gaalsien. I need to be the fast, reactive kind of style, so I need eyes everywhere so that I can put my units in the best positions ahead of the fight using their superior speed, and then use their longer range and firepower to dominate the battle, even against higher numbers of units. So that artifact has been grabbed, and there's a second artifact running in that base runner there to the south. That's the Honor Guard cruiser you can see there. Now I decided to deploy that to the middle right now, thinking that I can use its very long range railgun to cover that central area, and I was also thinking that I wouldn't need help with those two base runners. Now, you can research, there are a number of different things you can do with the research tree. One thing you can do is just upgrade your home carrier into a formidable beast of war, complete with like dominating guns and cruise missile barrages and things, but I'm not pursuing that right now. As you can see, I've gone for Honor Guard cruisers, railguns, missile ships, and some upgrades for my sand skimmers. So, seemingly I'm going to score that one artifact that's very close to the zone here. My opponent's just going to make a little poke on the right flank, but it's just a couple of sand skimmers, and I've got a sort of a guard there of a few sand skimmers. So anyway, that massive pulse of purple indicates that I have scored an artifact, and the score is now 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and I've sent in all of my strike craft for a quick operation. I was hoping I could pick off one of his resourcing carriers, or cruisers, sorry, but as you can see, there's a large ball of tanks there, and as I was saying earlier, armoured assault vehicles counter light assault vehicles, so that would have been a massacre. Luckily, I'm able to use the speed on my sand skimmers to fall back in good order, see, no losses, and prepare for this army which is coming. I'm going to redeploy my railguns back because they're too exposed. I'm going to get those missile ships to a more defensible position. I'm going to send the base runners to go and grab more artifacts, whilst this second base runner here is going to score this artifact. There we go. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. So anyway, Honor Guard Cruiser is going to waddle to the fight. I'm hoping it's going to be here in time, and I've got a second Honor Guard Cruiser just there, which I'm rallying into the fight. This is going to be a tough one though, because my opponent has so many tanks, and I've only got 2 railgun tanks myself, and the Honor Guard Cruiser. Now, there is a good chance that they'll be able to overrun those units and ignore all of the sand skimmers. That's just a thing that they could do in this fight, so I am pretty concerned at this point. Base runner here is just going to line up and head back towards the artifacts. I'm hoping that he's going to be so distracted dealing with me. I've also got an attack going on the right flank, just a wing of sand skimmers looking for any targets of opportunity that they can exploit, possibly some stray units, a base runner maybe, or some resources. What I'm going to do here is split my sand skimmers again to be my eyes. I need to know where he's coming from, deploying my railway guns there on top of a sand dune. And now I haven't used the movement dial because I actually can find it quite easy personally to tell what's high ground and what's low ground, but in this game you can open the movement dial and it will analyse the terrain for you and also show you what has line of sight to where, so a very useful tool there. Here comes an attack though. Looks like he's committing everything into my left here, so I'm going to bring the sand skimmers back. The Honor Guard Cruiser is getting into position. I need to fall everything back though, because that's too much force. That is a lot of tanks, and he's going to catch my railway guns out. I didn't move them back, which was my mistake, and those are my crucial units which are going to help deal with him with all those tanks, so that is an issue. Now I set the Honor Guard units to attack the tank balls. They do massive AoE splash on their huge railguns, so look for my Honor Guard Cruisers to start hitting them. The missile ships are doing fantastic air defense, and all of his aircraft just smash into the ground.
Defense alert.
And then I remembered that I forgot to research Honor Guard Cruiser defense systems, so I do not have my point defense or anti-air, but still, the massive railguns on those Honor Guard Cruisers could be enough, as long as I can just keep kiting. But out of Fog of War comes a Siege Cruiser. This is a massive indirect fire piece for him, capable of very dominating artillery barrages, so I need to be careful and keep my units on the move so to not present an opportunity. A couple more Honor Guard Cruisers now coming out of my mothership to reinforce, but are they going to be too late? Desperately setting all my rally points to this battle, and you can see the heavy caliber railgun slugs flailing in from my Honor Guard cruisers, doing massive splash damage to his army. Look at the cluster of red units that my sand skimmers are surrounding. My Honor Guard cruiser is about to take a coup de grace shot. Ba-doom! Managed to smash all of his tanks there because they were just clustered up. And now I'm just kiting with my other Honor Guard cruisers. Typical Gaalsien tactics, not committing, using range and speed to my advantage. And I'm actually going to be able to hoover up all of his tanks there with my potent railguns. That's going to enable my sand skimmers to swoop in for the kill. Think of them like zerglings. They're going to just head in to exploit any weakness, and they're going to pick up a siege carrier. I'm also going to send the Honor Guard cruisers to pursue that. Meanwhile, I haven't checked on my assault on the right flank, but I really need to do so. Their siege cruiser goes down, boom, smashes into the sand dunes.
Research included. Forward and back.
And that was a conclusive battle. I've also got 2 artifacts. Oh no, 1 artifact. That base runner didn't pick up the artifact, so I'm going to have to send it back. I didn't actually correctly click it before, but I've got at least 1 artifact coming back in. Another Honor Guard cruiser coming out now. The research is done. I'm at full supply, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Maximum army size. A diversionary attack is going to head into his mothership, his carrier, whilst another wing of sand skimmers is going to head into his resource operation to try and disrupt that.
Artifact verified. CE field depleted.
So here we can see my sand skimmers doing work on his mothership, but that's mostly just a diversion. The carrier has very good defense turrets. This is the real attack here, because I'm going to target down his production cruiser there. Meanwhile, all of my heavy units are waddling into position, and my base runners are marshalling the artifacts.
Enemy armor inbound.
So now if you see the map, another wall of tanks is coming out of Fog of War. That will be more than enough to counter my sand skimmers, so I'm just going to stay just long enough to snipe that production cruiser. Boom, there it goes, and then fall back. My Honor Guard cruisers are now moving into the area where they'll have line of sight. There we go. Line of sight is now granted over the enemy force. Boom! The massive AoE railguns slamming home. The sand skimmers are going to come forward to provide additional line of sight. And then boom! Multi-kill! Absolutely destroyed his army there, and this is what I mean. Any unit in this game can feel OP when deployed in the correct circumstances, and that's certainly the case. Those Honor Guard cruisers are fantastic at countering armoured units at long range, and that's what they were used to do just there. And my opponent's going to choose this moment to tap out because, it was pretty clear that he was being overrun and I was marshalling all the artifacts, so a pretty smooth game from me, I guess. Like I say, this was only my 2nd game on the ladders. This was on a 1v1 matchmaking, and I was able to carry the day, probably due to the fact that I've just got some RTS background and some Homeworld experience, so my general tactics are pretty good. So if we look here, he actually kept up with me more or less in terms of resources and spending. In fact, he managed to spend more than me. But in terms of combat, let's see, I was 63 for 11, which is not so bad. So that is going to be the end of this replay. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Homeworld Deserts of Kharak is an exciting and new game, which is out at the moment, and I know I am mostly a Company of Heroes 2 caster, and I will be mostly casting Company of Heroes 2, that is for sure, but I am a fan of RTS as a genre, and I just thought I would bring you a sneak peek at this new game which has come out, in the hopes that some of you may fire a spark of interest, or you may think, hey, I used to really like the Homeworld games if you played them before, and you might want to give it a look. I'm not going to lie to you, the game does have some limitations which you should be aware of. At the moment there are only 5 multiplayer maps on the ladders, but more are in playtesting and will be available shortly as free DLC, and we also have the developers' confirmation that there's a lot of other DLC coming our way, which as far as I know is all going to be free, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, the single player campaign is pretty good, that's worth a look. It's definitely one of the finest RTS campaigns so far. I've really enjoyed it, so I can recommend it on that one. But I feel like there were a couple of other issues with the game I should warn you about. I don't know. They've skipped my mind for now. Mostly it's the 5 maps thing, which is like a real issue. But anyway, yeah, I guess for now that concludes this video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you don't mind me divulging, digressing into other games. But yeah, I feel as a fan of RTS, I should bring you news from other games as well. So for now, this is Magpie 842 signing out.